In my last video, I went over why I think learning to code can be so difficult. And the reason it's tough is because I said it's up to you, the learner, to identify what you don't know, figure out where to go to learn it, and then build projects and write code to deepen your understanding of whatever it is that you learn. It's even tougher because there isn't a set path that you can follow to learn to code. I also mentioned that for teachers, it's not a matter of explaining every single line of code, because each line could have multiple concepts, which themselves require an understanding of even deeper concepts and more concepts. So it's very difficult to just go line by line and explain one thing to a student, because there could be multiple things that you then have to explain. One thing I didn't mention at all was memorization, because learning to code doesn't require memorizing lines of code. And I really want to stress that the goal when you're learning to code is to understand what you want to accomplish and then learn ways to accomplish that. But it's up to you to decide how deeply you want to go and understand the concepts or the topics. And I think that's where a tool such as ChatGPT can help. So let's say, for example, that you want to become a back-end developer, meaning that you want to write the code that lives on the server, that knows how to respond to requests from clients. And if that's a little bit confusing, maybe you haven't learned how the internet works. Let's just say that this is the computer that's going to respond, that's going to send the HTML or the CSS or the information that a website requires in order to display it on someone's phone or computer. So you want to write the back-end stuff, which usually isn't the most glamorous stuff to write or code to write. But let's say that that's what you want to do because you've been learning JavaScript and you want to create your own web servers. So you will eventually probably hear about Express, which is a great framework for creating your own web server. And Express runs on Node. So it runs in JavaScript outside of the browser. And if you go over to the Hello World section, they give you the code that allows you to just quickly spin up a web server. And what you might do is then just copy paste this into your development environment. And I'm just going to paste it in there and hit run. And it's going to probably install anything it needs and then start. And actually there it goes. Very quickly, it responded with Hello World. So if you actually put this code on a computer or a server on the internet, and someone visits your website, they'll see Hello World as the response. But the only thing I just did was copy paste. I didn't actually learn any concepts. And this is where I think something like ChatGPT can become really powerful. Because instead of Googling and just getting like a bunch of code immediately, what I can then do is go on ChatGPT and ask it, how do I create a web server in JavaScript? And let's see what it says. I'm hoping that it says something about Express because it's the most popular framework for creating a web server. And this is exactly what it does. It tells us how we can do this. We can actually copy this code, but I'm going to show you why I think ChatGPT is different and why I think it's even more powerful than, finding something else, finding some resources that you copy paste from. If you pay attention here, if you're looking and reading, it's actually explaining what's going on here. So it's explaining that you could, you could start the simple server using this code and exactly what it does. It says that this is the root URL, this / and you can run this code by typing this into Node or into the terminal. So then I could ask it, well, what does this line do? Because let's say I'm learning this and I don't know exactly what this line does. So I'm going to type in, what does, I forgot to write do, but I think it's going to tell me anyway. The line const express is a common JS style import statement in JavaScript that loads the Express library. And it's explaining to me what that line of code does. And you know how I mentioned before that for teachers, it's not easy to just go over every single line of code because look how much text, look how much information it just gave me on that one line of code. It's pretty crazy. And a student, maybe they don't even understand what const does. So with ChatGPT, I can just ask it, what does const do? And that is a question that, a student wouldn't be able to ask a teacher because then you're going over every single word or every single, symbol or keyword in JavaScript. And that's just not feasible to do with a person or in a classroom. But with AI or with a computer, you can ask it questions and it's acting like a personal tutor. And this is why I think it's so powerful because you can really learn the concepts in the code that, you otherwise wouldn't learn. And you can ask it to give you examples. You could, have it explain to you other things. I can go into other details, but this is a good explanation for exactly what that one line of code does. And we don't have to stop there. We could just ask it, what does this do? What does, if I can type, what does this do? And hopefully it gives me a good answer. This is not an easy question because, we have the get method on the app object, and let's see what it says. So it tells me that this is a route definition. And, just that one sentence, if I don't know what a route is, I can then ask it, what is a route? What is a route? And I could just keep asking questions and get answers to those questions. And you can see ChatGPT is going off on its own, explaining even more about, this method and how it's working. And the callback function. So I think I mentioned that in the previous video that, you have to understand a whole bunch of concepts. Each line of code could have multiple concepts. So with this, you could ask it in more detail to explain to you what's going on. But like I just said, if you don't know the first sentence, you don't know what a route is, you can just ask it, what is a route? And it's going to go and explain it to you. So this is amazing because in the old way of doing things, we would have to keep searching through Google. So we could type the same question or a similar keywords in Google to try to find the answer. But then we would have to go to different websites, multiple sources, and find articles or resources that are accurate. With this, it's telling us the answer to our question directly, which is just really powerful. And I do want to mention a couple of things. One is that it might be possible to, or there might be a case where you get a response that actually isn't accurate. And that's probably the biggest danger here with ChatGPT, is that it sounds really convincing in its response to you. So you might have to look for other resources on the side just to confirm exactly what it's telling you. But as of right now, I've really haven't seen a mistake in any response or in any question or answer that it's giving me. So I would just say that that's something to keep in mind. I know that Replit also has its own AI pair programmer that you can use, but I don't think it's as powerful because I don't think it explains to you what every single line of code is doing. And you can't ask it questions in real time. So you could ask it, how do I spin up a web server? And it'll give you the code or fill it in, but it's not going to explain every single line of code. And it also costs money to do this. Whereas ChatGPT, right now, it's free, even though I think today they started offering a paid tier. But this is amazing and so powerful, and I can't recommend it enough. And just to end on another note, let me ask it, how do I create a simple website with HTML? And so the cool thing about ChatGPT is that it remembers what it's answered previously in this thread. So if I ask it now about HTML, later on I can ask it, how can I connect the HTML to my Express application or my web server? And it'll tell me how to do that. It'll tell me how to connect the two, which is incredible that it remembers in a way. But over here, it's going through HTML. Most people will just copy paste what's written here, but ChatGPT is going in more detail and it's explaining to me what these lines of code mean. And this is really powerful. So I hope that this shows the power of a tool like this and why I think it has so much potential to help us in education, to help us with learning to code in the future. Let me just end with asking it, how do I serve this HTML file using Express? And let's see if it tells me exactly what to do. I'm expecting it to tell me to put it in the public file or stir up static files somehow. So let's see if it says that. There's the static. Oh, I meant the public folder or directory, and it's doing exactly that. So this is explaining to me how to connect that HTML file we just started with our web server so that we can actually put this on the internet and people can visit the website and see exactly what I've written in the code. So this is just amazing, and I can't stress it enough. Try using ChatGPT as you're learning to code or to learn something new. And I know that I use JavaScript here, but you can use Python, C++, you can ask it anything. With that, I just want to thank you for watching this video and this long rant about how powerful and how impressive I think ChatGPT is. It's not only for coding. You could ask it other questions, but I just think the potential here is incredible. So check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.